we have a development officer at Bedlam that we brought on a couple of years ago, and obviously there's a massive influx of scripts that are coming to us now, but they all are very much of a certain type or a certain budget level, and so with Will, we target, you know, some of the script forums, some of the blogs. You know, he's made quite a point of introducing himself to a couple of theatre writers that are yet to write for screen. So he's been quite proactive. But at the same time as him trying to go outside of the Bedlam office, you know, he has to get past the mounting pile that's on the desk these days in terms of what's coming in.
We have an international sales company as well, so we see a lot of material on that side of the business. Not all of it is appropriate for us to represent in the market, and some of it is just at script stage, but it's a very good window into new talent, new writers, other films that we wouldn't necessarily produce or develop ourselves, but just constantly educating ourselves. And the guy who does the acquisitions for that side of the business is also involved in development, so he's got a good synergy with the production side of the company as well. That's one window. Yeah, new writers coming through theatre, anywhere that somebody's getting a voice and that voice is being heard, we're constantly on the lookout.
In terms of access into an organisation like Pathé, there is the genius of Colleen Woodcock, who is the head of all creative affairs. So she's incredibly smart on script. She's got a small team that goes and, you know, watches whatever's new coming onto the theatre, etc. But then there are the boys, as I call them. There's Mike Ronigal, who heads international sales, and Louis Tisney, who has the best job in the entire world. We pay him to just fly around the globe, meeting the new directors, new producers, new writers, wherever they're bubbling under. All of that feeds back because they have different skills, and particularly the boys, they're incredibly smart on genre. So the horror movies and those sort of high concept thrillers, which are not my particular bag, they are very smart on that. So they've developed an international network amongst all the talent that, you know, is doing that sort of thing. And it's always feeding back into the company. And we are an equal opportunities script developer. If anybody has a great idea, it doesn't matter if you've written 1 million scripts or never written a script before, or even if you've just come up with a treatment and an idea. The thing is the concept. And if you've got a fresh, smart idea, that's what you're looking for. And if the writer isn't hugely experienced, then you can always go through a first draft or bring a writer on even earlier to work with that person. So always open to it. And I should say Pathé's in a slightly different position, because whilst we do develop ourselves and have a substantial slate, we also develop with producers like these guys all the time. So it's maybe a much bigger slate because of that, because we're also a distributor and sales agent and not just a producer. So there's a broad range. And we do work with a lot of first-timers as well.
You know, people are looking for the golden formula. And the thing is the golden formula, not to disappoint anyone, doesn't exist. It comes down to a combination of, you know, the kernel of the idea, time and taste. You know, when we were touting The King's Speech 4.5 years ago, no one wanted to do period. We were off the back of a couple of not as successful period movies, and no one wanted to put money in on a period movie, yet we managed to make that work. And I think it's that drive and commitment to that core idea that often takes a project from just being in someone's mind to actually getting anywhere near close to production.
But at development level, you still talk to, as a group, the heads of video, TV, international sales, physical production, marketing, everybody, to respond to those ideas, because it's not a privilege for an individual who is a creative to decide that's a good idea. You want to hear what a cross-section of people, male, female, different ages, think about those ideas, bringing a specific expertise to bear. And that's why that idea is so utterly crucial, to say that captures everybody's imagination.
I've worked with lots of new writers over the years. We still do. We also work with people who've been other things in the business. They've been actors, they've done other things, and who, you know, want to take control basically and start to write themselves. So as Cameron says, it's all about the quality of the idea really. It's less about wanting to see the developed script. It's more, is the idea a really strong idea? Because that's, in the end, fundamentally what it's about.
The commercialism versus sort of originality seesaw doesn't just exist within writing, it exists within our industry. You know, we're still yet to decide in Britain whether we're a cottage industry that happens to have the occasional breakout hit, or we're a multi-million-dollar movie industry that could compete to a slightly lesser level with the States. So that balance we're all struggling to try and find. I think taking originality and comparing it against its potential market value is an important estimation for a screenwriter, because if you've got something that is wildly original, but the only way you're going to be able to make it is on $100 million, you're out of sync. Do you know what I mean? If you have something that's highly original, that's maybe more of an art house piece that has a limited cast and a really sensible writing style towards what you might be able to raise from the market, then that shows some common sense. You know, and that tends to pique my interest when stuff's coming through the door, is a sense that someone's writing to their audience, as everyone has said, but also to the commercial sensibilities of the type of story that they're trying to tell.
The first audience is going to be the market or the producers, so, you know, if you've at least, as Gareth has...
Due consideration.
Yeah, at least if you've had some sort of focus in terms of what the value of your film is and what that could be, how that could be reflected in the market, in the real world, then that's a really good start. That's that's going to give you a good head start.
Writers that I've known for years, and their early scripts used to be very complicated, and they would try and bring in their whole political worldview, and gradually realise actually if you tell a simple human story, the politics, I'm thinking a couple of people in particular, the politics can come through that just as well as trying to do a major thesis. So just thinking, okay, what is this one story that we're telling, and tell that well, rather than trying to bring every idea in.
That, absolutely.